Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's presentation, The Essential Components of Your MarTech Stack, Prepping Your Stack for 2021. Very excited to kick off the year with you, talking about planning for new tools and new technologies that'll help you drive customer insight and customer engagement, better marketing outcomes for what will probably prove to be yet another interesting year for us as marketing and analytics professionals. Hopefully we've got a little bit of everything on today's agenda, from the very basics of kind of what the idea of a MarTech stack is, all the way out to some ideas around planning and some technologies that you may not have considered. Hopefully a little bit of everything for everyone. We're gonna be talking for about 30 to 35 minutes today. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll do some questions and we'll try and answer questions along the way in the chat as well. So if you have something you'd like to ask us, please let us know and we'll try and get your questions answered. All right, with that kind of housekeeping out of the way, I want to just quickly introduce myself. My name is Jake Spencer. I am the Director of Product Marketing at Tealium. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Tealium, our tools and technologies really lie in helping some of the world's largest companies solve problems and create better experiences out of their customer data. You'll hear a little bit more about Tealium hopefully today and be able to take some of that away. But at the very basic, we help companies unify their customer data, make it actionable, understand their customers, and then ultimately use that data to drive growth, increase revenues, be more efficient as marketing and analytics organizations, and ultimately drive insight. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's the quick gist. Today's agenda, pretty basic. We're going to go through 5 points here. I want to start at the very basic level. If you haven't heard of a MarTech stack before, you probably have one in some shape, form, or fashion. It probably just wasn't planned out. That's okay. We'll start there at kind of the basics of what's the idea of a MarTech stack. We'll go into some of the current landscape trends, identifiers, things that I think are interesting to think about and keep in mind as you plan for tools and technologies that you're going to use in running your marketing and analytics programs in 2021, some steps and key considerations for planning, and then what I think are 5 pretty essential tools to consider for your stack in 2021. We'll give some reasoning why, and then we'll give you some more info and send you on your way. So let's start with the basics. Let's say you have not heard of what a MarTech stack is before, and that's okay. So we'll start there. Basically, the idea behind this, piece of industry jargon that if you haven't heard of, you'll probably hear some more of eventually is, it is what it sounds like. It's a group of tech-based tools that marketers and businesses use to improve their marketing activities. The idea behind that is a little bit more dynamic than merely using several tools individually for their own siloed purposes. These marketing technologies are stacked to create an integrated series of tools. And ultimately, that integrated experience of tools should create a marketing engine that helps iron out your processes as well as improve your marketing activities, drive more efficient marketing spend, ultimately help you achieve the outcomes that you have in marketing. So the types of kind of categories of tools out there that you probably have or may have at least a sum of is, analytics tools, things that, tell you how your website's performing. Maybe you're way more advanced than that, and you've got Tableau or Domo or Microsoft Power BI, some sort of business intelligence tools, but analytics tools certainly fit in there in terms of helping us drive the marketing machine. CRM tools, advertising, data tools. How do I feed these execution engines with the right customer signals in order to go through and provide the right digital experiences? Social media management platforms, lead generation tools, marketing automation platforms, even survey tools. Those are things that you may recognize that exist in your business already. You might not have all of them, but these are kind of examples of things that make up a MarTech stack. And the idea behind it, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, you probably have some of those. You may not have planned it, but really the idea behind creating a stack is really putting some planning and process behind it in order to not just have tools and technologies, but ensure that those are built and put together in a way that meet specific business objectives. So that's the idea behind a MarTech stack. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I wanted to move really quickly to some of the current landscape that we're seeing. I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. I used this slide a lot in presentations last year because the times they were a changing, and I think they're going to continue to change for marketers as we see kind of a rapid rise in the need and desire from our customers for digital first experiences. And we'll go through some data behind what that looks like. But really, what I think is last year was kind of this incredible what if story. And the what if, it's a concept behind storytelling and story building where it starts off with kind of a hook, something unusual, something unexpected. And I think last year was pretty unexpected. For Pixar, if you've seen, The Incredibles, the what if there is, what if, superheroes were banned from saving people, or a movie like Ratatouille is, what if a rat wanted to become a French chef, something captivating that you haven't heard of before. Last year's, I thought last year's what if was, what if you could never see your customers again? How would that change your business? What if in-person was completely stripped away from customer support activities, from sales opportunities, from customer service and engagement, from ensuring that revenue goals are met, from ensuring that marketing campaigns are ran and tracked well? What if that channel or that shift in the world happened? And it happened to actually take place. That was a real thing. For a majority of industries, we really couldn't see our customers in person as often as we would have liked to, or as often as we would have normally done prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so it's a pretty captivating moment that I think kind of set off some interesting outcomes and interesting needs for 2021. So a couple that we see are down here. So marketers doing more with less. And quite frankly, that's kind of a what's new for marketers who are watching this webinar. It's like, what's new? My budget never increases. Maybe it's stagnant in the good years, but we're always asking to do more with less. I think that's especially prevalent in 2021, especially for industries that are heavily impacted by COVID-19. It is, even Gartner is kind of tracking some of this data on marketers and customer experience professionals. Not only are they consistently tasked with getting more out of a stagnant or declining budget, but that might even be more so prevalent this year as budgets may have steeply declined. And so tech stack wise, kind of relating it back to our topic today, you might be not investing in new technology as much as you thought you would have, but maybe you're investing in data foundations, or you're investing in places that you can be more efficient with the technology that you already have. We'll talk about some ideas there that you might think about, but maybe it's more integrated processes. Maybe I'm going through and trying to efficiently identify through data customers that have already purchased, have no intent to purchase, whatever that might be, because I just don't have the budget to spend my way out of problems anymore, spend my way towards the goals that I have. The other one, very data-based as well, the customer journey is fragmented. While we have more access as marketers and analytics professionals as ever before, at that same time, there's more channels than ever before that we need to go through and create experiences on. And so making sure that we coordinate the data coming in and the campaigns going out is increasingly difficult. But that's the expectation from customers, is that wherever they are, if they've given you some information about them, they expect that to be protected, but also used in a way that enhances their experience with your brand. And so really kind of tracking that customer journey across multiple different sources and then orchestrating experiences across those multiple different channels. It's the holy grail of marketing, but it's really tough to achieve without the right data foundation, and obviously without the right tools in your tech stack as well. The third one is personalization, prediction, and privacy. I call these the 3 Ps. This is another balancing act that marketers and customer experience and analytics professionals are served almost on a daily basis. I think it's an easy thing to say that consumers expect the brands that they do business with to know them, to provide personalized experiences. I think all of us as marketers have consumed that message for a long time. But the real interesting balancing act now is twofold. I also, as a consumer, now expect you to maybe predict the next best action for me. Difficult to do. Also, I expect you to kind of use this data, but also, privacy is really important to me, and I maybe don't want you to have access to all the data that you might have needed to produce predictions and personalizations. And so it is this interesting balance of personalization, prediction, and privacy that marketing and analytics professionals are kind of tasked with. And so how do we ensure that that balance of personalization and privacy are being met? Well, again, we're going to go back to our tech stack and kind of talk about how we're ensuring and some tools that help us ensure that not only are we collecting preferences in terms of privacy, but we're also honoring them. And then last but not least, digital transformation acceleration. So this was a huge race at the beginning of last year and kind of towards the COVID-19 pandemic. This is data that comes from McKinsey, kind of tracking US e-commerce penetration from 2009 all the way up to 2019. And you see this kind of steady journey out in terms of, how much of the total economic kind of penetration e-commerce has. And then you see towards the beginning of Q1 last year, basically 12 months prior from today, that a huge amount of e-commerce growth, 10 years worth of growth in 3 months occurred because of the shift of the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, going back to that what if occurred. And so everybody needed, who was kind of an in-store retailer primarily or relied on that channel, really needed to shift business processes and ideas and maybe even needed to adopt new tools and technologies to allow them to continue to take advantage of this digital first move and to kind of participate in that race. And last but not least, what I thought was interesting to finish up the landscape here that we're all facing this year is that there's truly brand loyalty up for grabs. I mean, this is and was last year was kind of an opportunity to shuffle the deck a little bit for most brands. McKinsey found that of the consumers that they surveyed, 75% of them had at some point during the pandemic tried different stores, websites, or brands, and that could be for a myriad of reasons, from everything from, one brand was offering easier delivery and, I didn't have to go in store to pick up things, all the way out to, who knows what. But 75% of consumers did respond that, hey, they've tried out some different brands that weren't previously kind of in their payment profile. And then 60% of those consumers expected to integrate those new brands and stores in their post-COVID-19 lives. And so, really it's an opportunity to grab some brand loyalty if you can really meet these hurdles or jump these hurdles that have been set before us. There's some excellent opportunities to grow your business. It takes the right tools, technology, and planning to do that. So let's talk about the tools and technology landscape that lie before us before we get into the planning phase here. I started my digital marketing career in 2011, 2012, and Chief MarTech kind of started this marketing technology landscape exercise back then. It's been almost 10 years. This one will be the 10th one that they've done. And so really what was available to me then when I was doing some digital marketing, we were doing some, ad tech buying, we were doing some real-time bidding, we were doing some tag management, some web analytics. The amount of tools that I had available to pick for me when I was a practitioner was around 150 to 350 tools, somewhere in there when I was kind of first starting out on my career in digital marketing and analytics. Now, today, as they've kind of tracked all of these out to 2020, there's about 8,000 tools. If you do the math, that's around a 5,000% increase in the amount of tools that you could possibly select if you were looking at today versus 2011. And so it is a massive increase in the complexity of the landscape of, hey, I want to identify and solve some of these issues in this landscape that I just went through. What tools do I pick to do it? There's a massive amount of tools that you can go through and pick to do it. And this is kind of what it looks like for 2020. It's minute. You can't see anything. Even maybe the most recognizable logo in the world, you could not pick out from this big landscape. However, I do want to say that, you can go to this website. There's this nice high-res version that you can go through. And it's kind of an interesting exercise just to look across all of the tools and technologies Telium's in there somewhere, but looking across all of the tools and technologies that you could potentially use, and kind of getting a taste of how overwhelming it might be. You're going to see logos in there that you've never seen before, probably a lot of them. There's going to be some that you have seen before, but it's an interesting exercise, and I wanted to leave that link up there just in case. But if you go in and Google marketing technology landscape, I think it'll pop up as well. So as a marketer and an analytics professional, that's overwhelming. There is tools and solutions to solve our challenges. The challenges and things that we face are an interesting opportunity to truly grow our business and provide digital first experiences. So where do I start picking what tools and technologies that I need to be successful against all of these kind of opposing forces and customer expectations? We've got some ideas, but I wanted to start with planning first, because I think that's a good place to start when we look at selecting MarTech tools. So let's go into planning for success. First and foremost, I think there's 4 places that you really want to focus on, or that I would suggest that you focus on. First is people. And the person that you should really be focused on is customers. The customer experience should be your focus first and foremost. These are offers shaped as messages aiming to influence attitude and behavior. The desired end result is an excellent customer experience. So when I think about, hey, what people should I be focused on as I go through and I think about selecting tools, I would identify your customer as that one person that you should be focused on. Hopefully you have some data to kind of help leverage or build insight around how your customers want to be engaged. But keep a lens of the customer at the center of everything that you do as you're picking tools and technologies to better understand that customer digitally and better engage it. The one thing that I didn't write down that I'd add into that people part as well is the actual internal people that you have. It's one thing to adopt the technology. It's another thing to be able to really wield it and understand it and be able to get the most out of it. Sometimes that requires, professionals to be hired on as well, agencies to be hired, whatever that might be. And so, as you get advanced or more advanced in your MarTech process, think of the internal people as well. Second one is process. Really think about where you might lack process and where you might need to do things differently, and choose a technology based on that. Once you've mapped out the process, you'll have a better understanding of the required tools that you need, or quite frankly, don't need for your business. I think a lot of tools and technologies are adopted outside of processes being created, and really at people and process, and then we'll get into technologies. But people and process can solve a lot of problems in terms of current MarTech utilization, or just better identifying what actual tools you need. Then we get into features. So a tool is not a strategy. You can compare certainly different software packages by their features, but really doing that is kind of like marrying someone based on their dating profile. A real value that marketing software provides is in the strategy and the approach it enables and how it impacts customer experience. So you should think about features, think about comparing products on the features, but also ensure that, ultimately at the end of the day, what you're doing is driving strategy. And so keep that in mind. And the last but not least is integrations. So ultimately looking across many customers, working with analysts, the big takeaway is that the landscape of technologies powering customer engagement is rarely based on a single ecosystem, rarely. And ultimately, what Gartner found in their recent report in July 31st is that the highest performing brands in Gartner's digital IQ index, basically the brands that were doing digital customer experience analytics engagement the best, use a plethora of technologies. And rarely does that include one single vendor. And so getting tools and technologies to talk with each other to provide connected experiences is going to be an ongoing battle and need. And so really thinking about building integration, or at least a framework where you have data coming in and then integrating out into your tech ecosystem is going to be important. But making sure that your tools and technologies play nicely together is one place. And there's technologies that we'll talk about that help solve some of that that connected MarTech stack problem. So those are 4 things I would just say, keep in the back of your mind. And then this is a process that I think is fundamental and interesting as you focus on the value out to the capabilities and not the capabilities out to the value. And so this is just a quick process I would suggest on when you're going through and you're planning and you're in that planning phase again of, hey, I'm selecting a technology. Start with your business goals. Again, going back to kind of that comment on features, tools, there's plenty of tools out there to do in terms of customer engagement and execution, what you need them to do. What you need them to do really outside of features and capabilities is provide value to your business. And so looking through the goal of your business, what strategies you're going to take to achieve that goal, what purpose or what technology kind of category you think can achieve it, and then kind of selecting the tools that you want to go evaluate, I think is a nice simple framework to kind of start going through. So this is a quick example I thought would be interesting for us to go through. So, as simple as, let's say I have a sneaker company, something like sneakers or a GOAT. I'm a big, shoe buyer. So GOAT is like this online sneaker marketplace. So maybe they want to go through and use marketing to nurture current sneaker lover prospects and discover insights. So we want to start to kind of send personalized messages or nurture people based on their customer preferences. So the strategy maybe with sneaker newbies would be to send them email campaigns or email series that teach them the basics of sneakers, the history behind sneakers, what, sneakers would be cool, how you go through and style sneakers, whatever that might be. That's their specific nurture campaign to get them acquired as a customer. Maybe I think of kind of the marketing automation platform space to think about fulfilling that purpose. And then these are the tools that I want to go, I know a lot about HubSpot. I know Marketo's out there. These are the tools that I want to go evaluate now to accomplish my goal. I think often we start from the tools and work our ways back to the goals because we've gone through and heard about a tool, we've discovered something, we've done a Google keyword research. But I think ultimately, as you go through your planning for 2021, this is a good framework to kind of work left to right in order to get ourselves to what we really should be identifying. All right, let's talk about new essentials for 2021. I wanted to set some ground rules here as to kind of how we deemed essentials. So there's a couple things that I want to just kind of lay out here. The essentials for your business are probably unique. I would guarantee they're unique, actually. Each and every business is unique. And so, as we go through, these are things that, based on the landscape that we went through just now, that I feel are important and you should consider. And they're outside of things that you may already be using as well. So, if you go down to bullet point 3 there, I'm assuming you've got some baseline tech in place. Maybe you're using a CRM, you're probably using a CMS if you have a website. Got some social media management tools maybe in there, analytics, something as simple as a Google Analytics, all the way out to some of more of a power tool like Tableau. Advertising, you've got a Google Ads account. You're doing some things going on here in terms of digital business. These are going to be categories that are a little bit outside of those fundamentals, I would say. And these are new things that you may not be working with today, but you might want to consider for 2021 based on everything that we just went through. I'll talk about some categories and give some example technologies. There aren't necessarily recommendations for you. Go back through that planning framework portion for you to be able to kind of identify your own recommendations and where you want to go. And last but not least, I'm focusing on customer experience marketing analytics here, project management, collaboration. There's a litany of things, online events, webinar platforms. There's so much out there that could be done. 8,000 categorized MarTech technologies. I'm going to kind of focus in on our audience here on customer experience marketers and analytics professionals. So what are the new essentials? There's a couple that I have in mind. The first being customer engagement and messaging platforms. Second, cross-channel marketing tools. Third, behavioral and experience analytics. Fourth, consent management platforms. And fifth, customer data platforms. So those are the 5 that I just want to take a little bit of time and go through. Talk about what it is, why it matters in 2021, and some examples of those techs. And the other thing that I'll kind of add here is Those first three that we'll go through are execution technologies. Those are technologies that engage a customer, that tell us insights about a customer. And the other two are really data version or data technologies that you'd add as a foundational component to your tech stack that feed those technologies like customer engagement and messaging or a CRM or advertising, whatever that might be. And really thinking about, what are the technologies that I'm using for engagement and what are the technologies that I'm using to drive and understand how I should be engaging. Really think about those as, your execution layer of your stack. And then the data layer of your stack is really kind of the understanding and bringing together all of your customer data and being able to use that to drive execution ultimately. So let's start with cross-channel marketing tools. So what is that? Well, a cross-channel marketing tool simplifies multi-channel campaigns and helps you achieve engagement and revenue goals. So let's just take a simple example here and talk about mobile, email, and web. Those are three very important channels where your customers are probably at. Three channels that probably have their own individual owners, or three channels that just aren't orchestrated or aren't in sync all of the time, where your customers expect you to be in sync. If I've gone to a website, I've completed an action, and I come on your mobile app later, I'm going to expect that that I was on your website earlier that day. And thus, that experience should be maybe a little bit different, maybe based on what I tried to do on your web earlier or what I researched, based on the email that you sent me, whatever that might be. Very hard to go through and do that. The cross-channel marketing tool is really, about going through and helping ease some of that pain. So, why does this matter in 2021? I just kind of mentioned that overview, but your customers and prospects expect seamless cross-channel experiences. Those are difficult to pull off without A, the right data, which we'll get to, and B, the right tools. Those customers that are engaging across all of your, across multiple channels as well, statistics have shown that they have a 30% higher lifetime value. So getting the experience right for those customers is pretty lucrative. And the rise of digital first engagement isn't slowing down. So ensure that you have your most important channels orchestrated for 2021. These tools are important to consider to figure that out. So some examples of that might be Braze, Iterable, Lean Plum. There's probably many more, but those are three that come off the top of my mind early. The second is going to be behavioral and experience analytics. So what are behavior and experience analytics? Well, let's focus on analytics. If web analytics and business intelligence are a rear view mirror, they're telling me stories and insights about what happened in the past. Behavior and experience analytics are kind of telling me stories of what's happening, on the properties where I'm getting insight already. So why does that matter in 2021? Digital is your new storefront and your new experience. So if I think about the imperatives and some of the landscape that I'm facing, more and more, I want to optimize my digital storefront, much like, think about a grocery store, a retailer, picking different displays, moving things around, picking different storefronts and kiosks to go promote products. There's even kind of an interesting discipline when it comes to grocery stores of people that follow grocery store shoppers around and identify interesting patterns in the way that they shop, right? Are they going for the things on the high shelves? Are they going for the things on the low shelves? Is the middle part where we want to have kind of our most lucrative product placement or our most high value products in this grocery store? How do I get people from the vegetable aisle into more expensive items? There's a whole bunch of interesting questions, and I'm kind of going on the grocery store analogy for a while here, but that is the same thing that behavioral and experience analytics can help you answer about your digital properties. Traditional analytics can tell you web traffic usage. Behavioral analytics answers the questions of how your customers are using your digital storefront and product. And so some examples there of tools kind of in that space, it's Qualtrics, Quantum Metric, Content Square, Heap, and Heap is more around product analytics, how are customers using my product, and then Hotjar as well, of kind of giving an insight on, what's impeding conversion on my website or on my digital experiences, what's impeding feature adoption, what is kind of going well for my experiences, where are my most lucrative content placements to ensure that I have good customer experience. Behavioral and experience analytics, highly important. Customer engagement and messaging. This is another one that I think is becoming increasingly important as digital storefronts increase. Customer engagement software is really a form of simple messaging, customer engagement software in the form of simple messaging allows businesses to quickly identify support issues, qualify leads, or send personalized messages. If you go to websites, and there's probably a little bot in the bottom right corner allowing you to chat with a human. And really, that's why that matters in 2021. Automation and ease of engagement, especially with digital becoming kind of the forefront, is the name of the game now. And so if you don't have this in your stack, and maybe a consideration that you really want to think about. Customers have questions. They want to speak with, as closely as possibly as they can, to real people. And so in-person opportunities for support or customer engagement are becoming less of the norm. These tools allow your businesses to be responsive, personalized, and automated. So some examples there are like Drift, Intercom, Zendesk are three big ones. So let's move into kind of the data side and data that we need to know about our customers in order to inform some of these execution tools that we just went through. So the fourth one that we'll go through is consent management platforms. What is that? A consent management platform is a tool for collecting user consent and passing that data to downstream technologies. You have probably engaged with some sort of a consent management platform somewhere along the web. It is basically saying at its simplest form, consent management platforms do a lot, but at its simplest form, it can kind of raise a cookie banner and say, hey, this website uses cookies, and which types of tracking and analytics would you like us to do while you're on this site? Not only is it needed for regulatory compliance like GDPR and CCPA, but ultimately privacy is really becoming a differentiator for brands, especially digital especially as digital becomes more of the norm and kind of the way in which customers first interact with companies. Being able to adhere to, understand, and react to privacy preferences is important. So why does that matter in 2021? First is regulatory compliance. So if you have a website in 2021, collecting data about users and about what your users are doing on that site, you need consent management to do that. You shouldn't confuse consent management with data privacy compliance for sure. Getting consent management in place, though, is typically the first step on that journey. And increasingly, I think marketers are going to be involved in and analytics professionals, to be perfectly honest, are going to be involved in the management of consent management platforms because it impacts user visibility. If I'm opting out in terms of privacy preferences to a majority of what you're trying to understand about me, as an analytics professional, that's a problem. As a marketer, that is kind of the first gate now to my storefront if I'm showing those privacy consent banners, and I want to make sure that experience is optimized. I want to make sure people understand the value exchange for giving me some data about how they're using my website and how I go about providing value about how that experience lands. And then last but not least, and we'll spend a little bit of time here, is customer data platforms. What is it? A customer data platform gathers together all the data about a customer through a variety of sources: mobile apps, CRM tools, customer service applications, websites, and pulls that together into a single view of the customer. Why does that matter in 2021? Businesses have a lot of data. They have probably more customer data than ever, and that comes from a myriad of locations. Extracting data from the various silos within which it sits and then transforming it in such a way that it can be rendered useful is hugely complex. And that's something when in a place where a customer data platform really starts to solve issues in terms of understanding my data and then sending it out to the execution tools that I want to use to engage customers. So think about, basically a piece of software that goes through, collects data from multiple different sources of customer data in your business, unifies it, creates a customer profile, allows you to use it. Really anything that can automate the collection and transformation of data is a good thing for your business. Telium is ultimately a customer data platform, and really what that provides in terms of kind of a MarTech landscape is a unified approach to your customer data. Ultimately, each of your tools and technologies in your MarTech stack might have a little bit of a different view of a customer. And really the CDP's aim is to bring all those views together, really understand your customer, and then be able to execute across any tool and technology that you have. That really allows all of your tools and technologies to work together. That allows you to help to provide more personalized and consistent experiences, and ultimately helps businesses get a handle on what I think is their most important asset, which is customer data. So really kind of an interesting view here, but marketing clouds, data from brick and mortar, mobile apps, DMPs, that all needs to be brought together to create a comprehensive view of your customer. CDPs really allow you to do that. Where does that fit in your MarTech stack? Well, it kind of fits right in the middle or prior to where your MarTech stack comes out. But you can kind of see here the anatomy of a customer data platform is really about getting data from systems of insight, mobile and web, CRM, transactional or e-commerce data that's out there sitting in CSV files or API integrations, bringing that all together. This is an important part, but sometimes overlooked, normalizing and enriching it, i.e. making sure that it's trusted and useful. Building a single view of your customer and creating audiences and profiles that are usable for marketers rather than extracting that out of a data lake or going through and trying to build that back that's in a fashion that's not real time. And then sending that multiple different places, analytics platforms, going through and activating audiences across media buying, email marketing, social media advertising, CRMs, on-site personalization, a litany of different places. And really the idea is to create this chain and ultimately get some benefit for your business. The first of which is delivering a single customer view. Second, impact marketing and customer experience. I need to understand my customer signals in order to be able to serve them. And in order to innovate, I need to understand my customer through data. I want to tear down data silos. Ultimately, the value of customer data should extend across a business, and I need to bring in the customer data from multiple pieces of my business to kind of tear down data silos that are impacting the way in which I work. Allows me to put the customer at the center, and then finally enables operational efficiency and business agility, being able to move quickly to build and connect a tech stack that adapts with the ever-changing consumer behavior, with turnkey integrations, saving hours of integration work. Remember, we're marketers and analytics professionals. We aren't developers. And so really that's where we're building in systems of insight, a data foundation in which to connect tools, systems of engagement, CRM, email marketing, mobile, advertising, analytics, you name it, with the same set of trusted customer data. What we want to do is just take a little bit of time to go through and ensure that we have some time to answer questions. So we'll go ahead and do that now.